A good evening to you all, and thank you very much for joining us here on Rwanda Television News. And we do hope you had yourselves a very productive Tuesday. Now here's what is at the top of our edition tonight. The government of Rwanda has signed an agreement with the German Development Bank, KfW, on behalf of the German government for an additional contribution of 15 million euros to the basket for inclusive pro-poor infrastructure. The justice sector in Rwanda is introducing the plea bargaining system in all parts of the country to reduce the costs of seeking justice, family conflicts, and overcrowdedness in prisons. We are glad to have your company tonight, coming to you straight from the heart of Africa, Kigali, and I bringing you the news is Martina Avera. Let us kick things off by letting you know that the government of Rwanda has signed an agreement with the German Development Bank, KfW, on behalf of the German government for an additional contribution of 15 million euros, which is approximately 22 billion Rwandan francs, to the basket for inclusive pro-poor infrastructure. We have more of this report from Adam Squizera.
The National Strategy for Transformation Institute highlights Rwanda's goal over the next 5 years to eradicate poverty and uplift needy families. On Tuesday, the government of Rwanda has signed an agreement with the German Development Bank on behalf of Germany government for an additional contribution of 15 million euros to the basket for inclusive pro-poor infrastructure. This initiative aims to support rural districts by financing essential local infrastructure to improve the living conditions of citizens. The Minister of State in charge of public investments and resource mobilization, Mutesi Rusagara, noted that these additional fundings will allow LODA to support local governments to invest more effectively in local economic development projects.
In health, vaccine production and pharmaceuticals, decentralization and good governance, where the partnership today falls, private sector development, amongst others. These are all areas that are continued priorities in NST2 and where we expect continued partnership with the Federal Republic of Germany. With respect to the basket fund means that it's a fund where we have many donors contributing with a single objective. In this case, the objective is reducing poverty. And so that's why it's called the Pro-Poor Basket Fund, and it works mainly with LODA, which is responsible for poverty reduction implementation in various districts.
The German ambassador to Rwanda, Heike Utadeteman, affirmed Germany's readiness to partner with Rwanda in the implementation of the NST2.
NST2 is a Rwandan process. This is Rwanda's transition. And Rwanda has associated the development partners in developing and formulating NST2, but this is a Rwandan process. So if Rwanda asks development partners like Germany to associate in different programs, and if means are available, and if we come into negotiations and come to the conclusion that we would fit, Germany is very happy to accompany Rwanda in this process.
The first phase of this fund, amounting to 16 million euros, was provided last year in 2023, with the operation process beginning in January 2024. Adam Squizera, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Adams, for that report. The justice sector in Rwanda is introducing the plea bargaining system in all parts of the country to reduce the cost of justice, family conflicts, and overcrowdedness in prisons. Enora Gladys with more.
It has been 2 years since this program was introduced in Rwanda's justice system, which is regulated by Articles 26 and 27 of the Law on Criminal Proceedings of 2019. This program was initially tried for 2 crimes, which are theft and minor assault, which was productive because some of those accused of these crimes are sent to prison. The victims of the crime received compensation, and the time to serve justice is between 3 and 4 years, returning to 2 to 3 months only. Discussions have begun between the prosecution, judges and lawyers for defendants and those seeking compensation in order to improve and expand this program in the public interest of justice. according to the statement of the judicial spokesperson in Rwanda Judiciary, Mr. Mutabazi Harrison.
About the last 2 years, I would say the journey of plea bargaining in the justice system, as I would say, is really remarkable. Reasons being that to today we have almost 13,000 cases that have been resolved through plea bargaining. So that is something that is very remarkable in our journey as justice institutions. So today we're here as judges, the judiciary, the prosecution, and the defense lawyers, trying to reminisce and see our journey, how it's gone, how the challenges and the success stories. But we can say, when we look back, we would say there's a lot that has been done, and we are very positive that this process is going to continue helping the systems, especially the judiciary, the prosecution, and all other institutions, and definitely the citizens of Rwanda get justice in a timely manner.
In Goma district, the eastern province of Rwanda, and Rutsiro district in the western part of Rwanda, is where there is a large number of people whose cases were able to be resolved by this system of plea bargaining. Omubyeyi Gasore Yvette, a prosecutor in Goma district, points out that agreements made from these discussions will solve some of the challenges that they faced in applying this system of plea bargaining.
Hari amabwiriza ahari y'umushinjacyaha mukuru, hari n'amabwiriza.
There are rules and regulations of the Prosecutor General, and there are also rules and regulations of the Chief Justice. So we use them to generate our performance. This toolkit is going to be like the general rules that will be used by people to know that agreements that are going to be made have all the basic things you should know before, without being required to go through the whole article first. So this toolkit will bring together all the rules and regulations while doing the agreement, so it will be making the work easier without asking for advice for each case we will be having. In the past 2 years, the plea bargaining program has resolved 13,391 cases that involved about 17,000 people. After resolving conflicts through mediation, half of them were released while the rest were given light sentences. It is expected that this system of plea bargaining between the accused and the prosecutor will expand and be applied to all crimes, but will be based on the law, the independence of judges, and the rights of victims of crimes. Enora Gladys, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Enora, for that report. Now, on Tuesday, at the invitation of the Zambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Private Sector Federation of Rwanda and Zambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry held their maiden business forum in Lusaka. The business delegation from Rwanda was composed of around 23 participants from different sectors. The business forum was held under the theme of fostering sustainable growth through innovation and partnership, and so ZACCI and the PSF renew their MOU, which was signed in 2018 but expired without implementation. The Permanent Secretary in Zambia's Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry, Mrs. Lilian Bwalia, who was the guest of honor, pointed out that the government would continue to facilitate a conducive business environment to promote inclusive growth and the competitiveness of industry, trade and commerce. The Rwandan High Commissioner to Zambia, His Excellency Emmanuel Bugingo, who was also present at the business forum, noted that the role of the private sector is critical in leveraging the various opportunities that both countries have to offer. His Excellency Emmanuel Bugingo further explained the importance of both Rwanda and Zambia finding ways to benefit more from the opportunities presented by the regional market and international market. Rwanda's Private Sector Federation Vice Chairperson Aimable Chimenyi stressed on the importance of building trust and partnering in the larger projects and work proactively to transform the challenges our countries face into investment opportunities. In his speech, the ZACCICO, Mr. Elvin Nasilele, who represented the President, underscored the need to work together and remove barriers to trade by creating enabling environments for the private sector growth. And Mr. Nasilele further highlighted how the MOU signed would form enhanced cooperation in key sectors such as agriculture, energy, ICT, and mining. The Memorandum of Understanding signed today will propel the strengthening of trade and investment opportunities between Rwanda and Zambia. Rwanda is hosting a meeting of countries a part of the African Continental Free Trade Area from this Wednesday, and the Secretary General of the AfCFTA, Mr. Wamkele Mene, who points out that they expect both the government and private sector to intervene and seek support from the fund. He explains that they want the fund to operate independently, to function without any other intervention.
We expect that the first disbursement will be early next year. We have, as you know, mobilized up to $1 billion. That is already the liquid capital that we have. We will raise up to $10 billion as we had committed. And we expect that it will be both governments and the private sector that seeks support from the fund. So both sovereigns and private sector will be eligible for support, for applying for access the fund. The ministers of trade will soon agree on the criteria for eligibility, and then of course the board itself and the subcommittee, the credit subcommittee of the board, will have its own criteria from a lending standpoint, credit standpoint. The AfCFTA Adjustment Fund is a form of blended finance. So it is grants, it is also concessional loans. It is up to the fund to decide how to deploy the capital. Although we are a board member and we are in a partnership with Afrexim Bank and the fund, we want the fund to operate at arm's length, to have operational independence so that it can function without interference with by any of us. So where a country, whether the country has started trading under the rules of the AfCFTA or not, where a country or even a private sector identifies specific opportunities or specific interest, let us say it is to start a manufacturing capacity for components of a vehicle to supply Toyota. This is the kind of productive activity and manufacturing activity that we envisage the fund to support. So early next year is where we expect that the disbursements will commence. We will wait for the board to tell us when they are ready. I believe it will be early, very early next year. $1 billion for a continent as big as ours is obviously not much, but it is a good start. We will not be able to boil an ocean from the very beginning. So we will have to mobilize more development finance institutions, more commercial banks to invest in the fund, particularly the credit pillar of the fund. And that's where I foresee that we will have success in mobilizing our private sector, commercial banks, private equity firms to invest in the fund. Ourselves, the AfCFTA Secretariat and Afrexim Bank will go on a roadshow to talk to investors across the continent to have them invest in the adjustment fund so that more and more countries can be eligible for the support that they need.
Over the past 4 years, the school dropout rate among children has decreased from 10% to 6%. Many attribute this improvement to the school feeding program, which is said to play a significant role in both reducing dropouts and enhancing the quality of education. However, the challenge remains that the number of parents able to support this program is still low compared to those who do not contribute. More of this story from Olive Nete.
The school feeding program has been implemented countrywide in primary and secondary schools for over 7 years. Since its inception, both parents and educators have noted its significant impact on children's education, with school leaders also highlighting its role in providing a safer learning environment for students.
Umwana yiga ameze neza adashonje akabasha gukurikira neza mu ishuri.
The program has provided numerous benefits. Children can study safely without distraction of hunger, allowing them to focus on their lessons. Previously, many children missed school because they came hungry, but this issue has now been addressed. For parents, the program has been beneficial as well. They no longer have to worry about what their children will eat for lunch while they are at work or interrupt their activities to prepare meals. Additionally, as teachers, this helps us since we now teach students who are not hungry, which significantly improves their performance. Now children can study and learn effectively without any hindrances.
Ariko uyu munsi abana ubona bagenda bagira icyo biyungura gikomeye.
Despite the program's significant positive impact on children's education, many parents continue to face challenges in meeting their required contributions to the school feeding program. For some, financial difficulties are the barrier, while others, it is a matter of mindset. According to the Ministry of Education, 35% of parents currently do not contribute to the program. We contribute according to what we can afford and continue to progress gradually, as generating the necessary funds requires us to engage in farming. The amount needed also depends on the school and the level of education the child is pursuing. For example, covering school fees for children in secondary education requires a significant amount of time and effort. To address the gaps in the school feeding program, particularly among parents struggling to make contributions, the Ministry of Education launched the Dusangire Lunch Initiative in June 2024. This initiative, which translates to Let's Share Lunch, aims to ensure that all children have access to lunch at school. It also encourages contributions from everyone, including those without children in school, to support students' meals. Some community members and education experts emphasize that it is essential for everyone to recognize the importance of this program, as children represent the nation's future.
The idea itself is good, but for us to implement it effectively, we must recognize that not everyone has the same financial capacity. It's important to understand the value of this program and acknowledge that even if you don't have a child in school today, you might have one tomorrow, or your circumstances may change. If you value education and you are patriotic, you will understand that ensuring a child is fed is a shared responsibility. This child could grow up to become a mayor or hold another important role in the future, making it worth contributing to their well-being now. The program embodies the spirit of mutual support, where those who are unable to pay for meals are assisted by those who have the means to contribute. Even people without children in school are encouraged to contribute, as paying for a child's meal, even if it's not your own, but it benefits the nation. In the future, that child will contribute to the country's development, and in turn, everyone, including you, will benefit from their success.
The Ministry of Education reports that over the past 4 years, the school dropout rate has fallen from 10% to 6%, largely due to the government's efforts to provide meals for students. While school feeding is not the sole factor in reducing dropout rates, it is cited as the most significant contributor to this improvement.
Ndetse niyo mpamvu tugenda dushyiraho ingamba zitandukanye, hagashyirwaho
We are intensifying our efforts to reduce school dropouts. First, by reminding parents about the importance of sending their children to school. Second, we have initiated the Dusangire Lunch program aimed at ensuring that all students have access to lunch while at school. These programs have been beneficial in various ways and are yielding positive results. For example, in the past 4 years, school dropouts in primary schools have decreased to 6% from 10%. This demonstrates that by working together and enhancing these efforts, it is possible for a child to not only stay in school but also thrive in their studies. The Ministry of Education reports a significant rise in the number of students benefiting from school feeding programs, with coverage expanding from 23% in 2020 to 92.8% in 2023. Likewise, the percentage of schools offering meals to students grew from 60.1% to 87.4% during the same period. As for the Dusangire Lunch initiative, the ministry has so far received over 143 million Rwandan francs out of the 315 million Rwandan francs pledged to the program. Currently, the government covers 90% of the total cost required for each child to receive a meal at school, while parents contribute up to 1,000 Rwandan francs per term. Olive Nete, RTV News.
Thank you, Olive, for that report. From the 15th to the 19th October this year, Rwanda will host the Global Engineering Conference with numerous personnel in this sector from across the world participating. The Infrastructure Ministry affirms that the meeting will facilitate knowledge exchange that will contribute to having sustainable and eco-friendly infrastructures locally. Prince Manzi with more.
The conference will convene over 800 engineers and engineering professionals from across the world. The Executive Secretary of the Institution of Engineers Rwanda, Stephen Sabiti, reiterates that the conference will be a platform to exchange ideas with the aim of developing sustainable infrastructure.
Inama izareba kubijyanye n'uburezi bwatangwa ku buryo abigishwa biga ku buryo ba protecting environment na general public.
The conference will also stress on education for the curriculum to focus on protecting the environment and general public. It will also focus on water and sanitation, affordable energy, innovations and more.
Muri industry n'ibindi bintu bitandukanye.
The conference is also a platform for analyzing global challenges faced by engineers and provide relevant solutions. The Director General of Urbanization, Housing and Human Settlement at the Ministry of Infrastructure, Jacques Ngarambe, reiterates that Rwanda has a lot to learn from this conference.
Hari policy yitwa National Urbanization Policy, igira pira enye. Imwe muri iyo pira nuko tugomba kubaka imiji kandi.
We have a national urbanization policy with 4 pillars, and one of those pillars is the construction of eco-friendly infrastructures in the cities. This is a pillar that the government is emphasizing on, and we still have more to do on it. And this conference will be beneficial to us. The conference will be a platform of sharing knowledge and what to emphasize on, adding to what we usually do. The conference participants will be from various disciplines such as civil, mechanical, electrical, environmental, telecommunication and others. They will visit various large engineering projects like Wijesera Airport, among others.
In order to support the youth to become self-employed with the help of technology, some of the entrepreneurs from different parts of Africa and the government of Rwanda gathered in a conference to discuss ways to support the sustainable development of African youth. Inora Gladys with more.
It is an initiative of the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation, the Africa Institute of Mathematical Sciences, and other organizations. The people who attended this conference show that promoting youth activities is one of the ways to promote sustainable development on the African continent. Austin Chulu, a senior economic advisor at the United Nations Development Programme, points out that the Developing Youth Project is the best way to achieve sustainable development for both them and their country.
African youth need to realize their potential by understanding their environment, by understanding the fact that to be an Elon Musk or to be Mark Zuckerberg or one of these big successful operators within the technology sphere, it's not the government that starts it. It's the youth themselves who start it. They start with innovative ideas and they get cracking on those innovative ideas. And if successfully proven, then they can go out and seek partnerships, etc., within the framework of their ideas. So the basic message that I was trying to put forward today was that the youth have to stand up and start thinking outside the box. It's not the responsibility of government only to provide the solutions. The youth can also use the private sector. They can use all sorts of different actors and approaches to provide those solutions for the development of the country, for the development of the communities, and for their own development.
Odila Duncan Ochieng and Emil Ikuze Gihozo are some of the youth who attended this conference. They say that this is an opportunity for them because it is going to help them think big and be able to start their own business that will help them achieve a sustainable development.
There is a lot of issues that Africa in general are facing in realization of the SDG, as well as in those problems or difficulties, there are a lot of opportunities that if the youth, the young innovators leverage, we can actually accelerate the realization of these SDG goals. So I think it's been really helpful for a youth like me, and this is also a very big opportunity for us to network with some of the organizations that can help us realize those dreams of accelerating the realization of these SDG goals.
From this launch, the NEF launch, I've got that, as they have told us, that the sky is not the limit and there is a lot of playground where we can put our ideas. So I've got that whatever I have to do, whatever I want to do, I can do it, and I can help the future. I can help my fellow youth or my fellows with the young age, that in whatever I do, I can do it and help them. I can bring them to, I can also engage them in my perspective and help them to do more innovations.
Odila Duncan Ochieng continues by saying that there are still challenges for Africans in terms of entrepreneurship and self-development.
How do we facilitate the private sector to create more jobs? Perhaps we could have incentive structures that look at the tax policy, looks at the investment code, and see how we can better develop the private sector. The other sector that can actually play a direct role in boosting up private sector participation in the economy is the whole issue of financing, or how to have access to sustainable finance that is going to then be the key growth driver in the economy. So financing, at the moment, we have financing systems that are probably designed not to expedite that growth. As you know, I think the World Bank had mentioned that about 80% of all business operations in the country are informal. And out of that, 92% are actually in the micro sector, which means they're employing less than 3 people. We need to change that formula. We need to start formalizing businesses. We need to start building a middle class that will be able to generate demand in the economy. And demand, once the demand is there, then you actually stimulate the economy to start producing more. And that stimulus is actually the key for private sector growth.
In Rwanda, Africa Institute of Mathematical Sciences aims, with the help of the government of Rwanda through the Ministry of ICT and Innovations, is committed to develop youth self-employment to contribute to the development of the country's economy. Enora Gladys, RwandaTV News.
And on that note, on behalf of the news production team as well as the technical team, we'd like to thank you very much for sticking with us on RTV News. And now who brought to you the news is Martina Abera. Stay safe and have a great night.